Hey, everybody, it's another Friday. And, I want to apologize for missed programs and things like that. I don't, as a normal course of action, miss programs, but this is, my back has really been debilitated and it prevents me from sitting for any real length of time. I've got electric stim on my back now. I've been, I just got done doing about a half an hour of water treading in the pool. It's very difficult for me right now, and I want to be at my best for the season. So, what I want to tell everybody is that the halftime and postgame shows will start next Saturday. Saturday the 14th is the first game for the Browns at 7 p.m. It will be shown on a Saturday night on the NFL Network. The second preseason game that the Browns participate in will be on the 22nd, which is a Sunday at 1 p.m. All right. And then the third one is the national, and that'll also be on NFL Network. And the third one is a nationally televised NBC game that starts at 8 p.m. I'm not sure how teams are going to handle when they actually play their starters, but I'm going to be there for all three games because the White Marshmallow of Hope said that it is the right thing to do, and I am following him wherever he may go. And I hope
Even
it's
if he
not
grills
into a
himself.
fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if he starts grilling himself.
Yeah, I'll tell you honestly. I wanted to. I asked him if he knew any good campfire stories, and he got pissed at me. It's like, don't say that to a marshmallow. We'll bring him out here because we're talking about him. And if you haven't seen the White Marshmallow of Hope, here he is. This guy believes. He is a believer. I mean, and you want to know how much of a believer he is? Have you ever seen
Far more
such?
than Mickey Dolenz.
Look at the flexibility. He does this whole Superman pose thing, and he does like da 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 da. See, he does all kinds of things. But he is, and he's stay puffed, but he's also stay psyched. Browns fans got a lot to look forward to this year, and I hope that we all get to see it together. So I'll be doing the shows starting this Saturday. And the game started at 7 o'clock. Then around 8:30, you'll see a halftime show, and then around 10 o'clock, you're going to see a post game show. And I'm getting warmed up just like you are for the season. Last show that I did, and I think it was somewhere in 1997, for all I know. I was commenting about baseball, and an individual made a comment on the program, and I always like to respond to people who make comments because they take the time to listen to what I'm saying, whether they agree with it or not. And he wanted to point out that the NFL is a joke, that he's felt that he's done with the NFL, but that the Cleveland Guardians are his favorite team. Now, I don't know if he was trolling or if he was being serious, but it doesn't matter because my lead story has everything to do with the Cleveland Guardians. And, this might make you think twice about how you spend your money in Cleveland and really where you might want to, hang out during sports seasons. People are, we can't lose professional sports in Cleveland. And to what length will communities go? And this is all political, okay? This is all political, and I'm not going to talk about the politics of it, except to say, if you are an incumbent seated city council person or mayor and you lose a sports team, you got some splaining to do. And so they take the road of least resistance, and that road of least resistance is, of course, just literally caving in to the professional sports franchise. You saw Baltimore do it with Art Modell, and now you're seeing it in Cleveland. Just so that you vilify Baltimore, then you need to vilify Cleveland as well. The Dolans are going to do this wonderful renovation of Progressive Field, the place where nobody goes, okay? Paul Dolan, who we had on the show many years ago, and after what I did to him, he didn't want to come back. And I didn't want him back, to tell you the truth. And I don't care what happens to him. I really don't. $435 million to renovate that goddamn ballpark. And here's how it comes out. 150 of it, 30%, less than 30%, are coming from the Dolans. 138 million from Cuyahoga County, 117 million from the city of Cleveland, and 30 million from the state of Ohio if you're doing all of your math. And you know that the only way they get revenue is through taxes, folks, your sales taxes, whatever it is they have to do to raise the money. I'm going to do the math real quick, $285 million. All right, 285 coming from the state of Ohio, the city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County, and 150 million for the pigs. And the Dolans are pigs. The game of baseball was built for pigs. It was created by pigs. You know something? All this shit I hear about, slavery this and slavery that, and God only knows I wasn't alive then, and I wasn't alive in the early 1900s either, when Judge Landis declared that baseball was exempt from antitrust laws. The fact of the matter is, it sucks. And it creates a small group of men who are pigs. And there's a larger group of men who are pigs that really control the destiny of the economy in the United States at large. But God damn it, this is a sports show. And when I see somebody who's not even trying to win, they're literally not giving their fans anything. The next time you get a raise in the price to go see the Cleveland Guardians, the next time they bring in another Owen Miller, or they're saying, oh, look who our starting pitcher is. It's J.C. Mejia. Jesus Christ, Mejia. That guy, are you kidding me? The guy has no control. And they're going to bring Tristan McKenzie out in the mound, and he pitches well until he hangs one. Every ball he hangs leaves the ballpark, right? And now all of a sudden, you can see that Plesac isn't that good when he's not surrounded by people like Shane Bieber and Carrasco and all the other group, and Corey Kluber. When the pressure's on that he has to win, not going to happen. Look at what's on the field. They stink. They're an embarrassment. There's no joy in watching them, and you know in your heart that the people who are sitting behind those desks are not trying to win, and they're the first ones that go to the politicians. The politicians will whore because they need the money, all right? Little boy blue, he needed the money. Oh! They're whores. And so they, say they drum up the legislation, they get the deal done, and the people are left holding the bag.
When you were talking about them as pigs, the first thing that popped into my head was the line from Animal Farm. Some animals are more equal than others.
Yeah, what it brought up to me was the Beatles song. Have you seen the little piggies rolling in the dirt? You can see. And then it goes on. Well, it's a song actually about upper class people. Everywhere there's lots of piggies living piggy lives. You can see them out at dinner with their piggy wives, clutching forks and knives to eat their bacon. That's what it is, okay? They will cannibalize their own people. They'll cannibalize the state of Ohio. They'll fuck you over, and they'll hold you down while everybody gets a turn. That's what they'll do, and they'll put shit on the field. And there is no excuse for any team to be this bad. They're mismanaged. They're just paying the least money they can, and they're going to lose every good player they ever have, and they have a minor league system that is creating the likes of J.C. Mejia, all right, and Eli Morgan. They don't have anybody at the AAA or AA level right now Do you remember when we used to have Albert Bell was sitting at Double A and Jim Thome at Double A? They were all playing in Akron. Do you remember? And Manny Ramirez. Do you remember those good old days when we were actually cultivating talent in the minor leagues? Well, there isn't a single player who is even ready to make a jump from Double A to Triple A, or from Triple A now to the big leagues. And the people who have made the jump, people like Bobby Bradley, are at the Mendoza line. They're not major league players. And you can't charge major league prices without having a major league team. So my answer to the gentleman who says they're his favorite team, go for it. Enjoy yourself. But deep down, they suck. They absolutely suck. Get your penis close to the screen and you might get blown watching the Indians. And I'm not going to call them the Guardians. It's stupid. It's stupid because they're the same fucking lousy team. And they're asking you to pay the freight. Wouldn't that be great if you walked into a restaurant that served lousy food and they said, we got to keep our doors open, so it's going to cost you 3 times as much? Wouldn't you love that? Would you go back to that restaurant? Don't go. Don't watch the Indians. Watch the Browns. The Browns are at least putting quality caliber players on the field and are showing that they're serious about what they're doing. So, with that, the Cleveland Browns in news, I'm not sure that this is really significant news. The Browns signed a running back. And you're saying, why in the world would they do that? It's because one of their guys, Trey Harbison, went down. He suffered a concussion earlier this week in practice. This guy's from Tulsa, went to the University of Tulsa, averaged 4.6 yards a carry. He's going to have no chance to make the final roster. We got running backs coming out of our ass. But they need people on the field to run different, to be tackling dummies is what it amounts to. So for now, we will say his name, and it's a wonderful thing being signed, Corey Taylor II. And Corey Taylor II, enjoy your time on the practice squad because that's what will be happening.
Not also, the Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Yeah. Then
he'd be a little old to be running back.
2 things to be concerned about right now. Anthony Schwartz has a bad hamstring again. This is Chisenhall syndrome. Anthony Schwartz is... I don't want to hear about Anthony Schwartz, okay? I don't care if his hands have gotten better, if he can't hit the field, and defensive end Tack McKinley, Schwartz is dealing with the hamstring injury. McKinley left practice last Saturday with an illness and again on Monday before missing practice on Tuesday and Wednesday for so-called personal reasons. Well, I have a very short string with Tack McKinley because the way Tack McKinley handled things where he was in his last visit with the NFL, I'm not a believer until I see, okay? And so far, not impressed. Show me. Don't tell me. Just show me. I think that's something to keep your eye on. The Browns are going to be looking for secondary pass rushers and need Tack McKinley to step up. But the more days missed early on, it's not a real good thing. Here's another thing that's bothering me. The news that's coming out. You read Cleveland.com, and I'm convinced that how in the hell they can charge for this shit. Of course, I don't bother with stuff that they charge for because these people are interminably negative. I mean, these are the most negative people on the face of the earth. Every day it's like the Dow Jones Industrial. So, how does that Baker Mayfield stock look today? What's the guy? Kramer, is that his name? The guy who did the stock programming on, I forget which channel it was.
CNBC.
Yeah.
I can't remember his first name.
So is he a buy or is he a sell? And it's just like,
And then he's got like 11 different fucking sound effects for everything.
Yeah, and he's a shill to boot. this whole thing, keep an eye on Baker Mayfield. And then, it's like, well, he's had a couple bad practices in a row. And then when you really start reading about why his practices weren't the best practices in the world, none of the first string guys were playing. I mean, they were holding out OBJ, they were holding out Landry for precautionary reasons, not because they're hurt. And the big plays that he made were to DPJ and to Rashard Higgins. But he's trying to get used to a bunch of different players, and it's not going to look smooth. And he made some bad throws. Everybody does. Get over it. And it's like, well, 2 in a row. This is going in the wrong direction, folks. Then he comes out the next day and he slays everybody. Don't remember, or do remember also, that there are new defensive personnel on the field. And it's not like the defensive coaches are telling the defense, let's just stroke Baker's ego and make him look good. The fact is, these guys are working each other. When they were putting pressure on Baker Mayfield a couple of days ago, that sends a message to the offensive line. Get your shit together. And
oh, by the way, they also have Myles Garrett going against Jedrick Wills, and he's eating his lunch every fucking day.
Yeah, well,
and Clowney's doing the same thing to Conklin on the other side.
Yep.
So,
But see, in the end, this is the best way to sharpen up the knife. And the days of the Cleveland Browns, just flat out not being ready. Now, there are going to be games where they don't play particularly well, and you're going to wonder what in the hell happened there, like happened with the Cowboys last year. There are also going to be games like in the playoffs with the Steelers. It's like they're fired out of a cannon, There's, I see that Broncola is going to join us. Hey, Bronk, how you doing, buddy?
Mo.
Hey. So I really don't think that, I think you've got some sound on.
Do I have sound on? Do I?
Oh, maybe. No, I do. Okay, that's me. Sorry. Bad accusation.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're here. You're with me. Okay. So, all this talk about, does Baker look good? Does this guy look good? We're finally practicing against NFL players. All right? we got NFL guys against NFL guys. So there are going to be days where hopefully the defense right now should be ahead of the offense. That's one. And two, that you would hope that the offensive linemen are finally seeing legitimate pass rushers in Clowney and Myles Garrett. And so that they're going to have to work harder. And they're going to have to work harder in preparation not to get their asses kicked.
Yeah. Well, remember the days when we had head coaches and very crappy quarterbacks, and they would say, oh, well, you looked really good in practice. We were running all of our plays and everything. And then they'd come out in the first game and get killed by 40 points.
Well, and it could happen again this year if you're not ready. Yeah. You're going to go out against the Chiefs in Kansas City. If you hang close and play a tough game with them, that's a moral victory because they're a very good team. They're going to be very excited, and the fans are going to be out in hordes to watch that football game.
We're having proper away games this year. So
and that's just the truth. I mean, nobody's talking about the noise factor. I mean, one of the beautiful things for the Browns last year is they were learning this new system and learning it in an absolutely quiet environment.
It was like a monastery they were playing in.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought, that's really good. I mean, so what a good way to learn an offense where you can hear all the plays clearly that are being called, and there's no excuse for crowd noise being, rattling you or anything like that. But this year we're going to get the real deal. And week one, it's going to come from the heavens hard. And if the team isn't ready, and I have every reason to believe the team will be ready, just because the way they prepared for the playoffs, they were ready. They did what they needed to do, and they damn near beat the Chiefs. Damn near got it done.
Got beat by Chad Henne. We should never let a backup quarterback beat us ever again.
It's a good lesson for them to learn. I mean, early on, young teams and teams that are not complete teams learn that way. It was like when the Browns in 1985 lost to the Dolphins. The Dolphins were a better football team, And in the third quarter, the Browns took the lead on a big long run, and I remember, at that moment it was like, oh, we have a chance, we got a chance, But the more polished, professional, old veteran team got it done in the end.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
were
happened last
8-8.
year. We didn't have enough pieces. That's all.
We were 8-8 that year, playing against the number 1 seed, and I think Miami got knocked out of the playoffs.
And look at that jump from 85 to 86, how good we became. And I think the same thing is true. I think the whole team was disappointed in the whole Chad Henne thing. I think all the fans were too. But I think at the same time, there's a hunger there because I'm
hungry too.
They get close, but no cigar. And I think that the team wants to be able to go out and prove that they can go a step further this year and maybe 2 steps further.
Well,
and that would be exciting stuff for the city of Cleveland. But I think good players practicing against good players brings out the best in everybody. I just hope nobody gets hurt seriously. And with that in mind, I wanted to update another story because we were talking about the fact that Schwartz and Tack McKinley have not been playing. Well, Anthony Walker is the same story. Anthony Walker's a guy we got from the Colts and who is supposed to be our linebacker.
Field general.
Yes, exactly. And
makes him sound like a Nazi, doesn't it? Like field marshal.
He's Rommel. Rommel, field general. Walker. And he hurt his knee. And we didn't hear. It's like, well, what about the knee? What's the story with the knee? And it took me a little while to figure this one out. But I dug deep with my hooves and found out when he left the field, he was holding the outside of his right leg. Right? So I'm putting pieces together. And I'm saying, well, on the outside of his leg, that's an interesting location because I've actually had problems all over my knees. And it's the inside of the knee that you really got to be, careful about when it comes to torn menisci, things of that nature. Now the Browns have come out and said it's a knee injury. So now, so he was clutching then at the outside of his knee. What is in the outside of his knee? And they're saying he will be out 1+ weeks. That is all the team will designate. 1+. What does that mean? It's my belief that he has sprained his MCL. And I will bet money on it. But the thing with sprains is there are grades of sprains. Dr. Cow goes over this every year because Dr. Cow knows this shit inside out. I sprained an MCL. And the MCL is much more resistant, all right, as far as shear force. It's a stronger ligament than what you have like the ACL and the PCL is also very rugged deep down inside and very hard to rupture. It's very hard to rupture an MCL unless you're in a car accident, all right? And that certainly wasn't the case. And when you have an MCL strain, they're saying 1+ weeks, it's a 4 to 6 week injury, folks. Don't let them fool you. You're not going to be seeing Anthony Walker during the preseason. If you do, I would be very, very surprised. He might, because of the way the schedule falls, he might, because, again, the Browns' last preseason game is on the 29th. When is the Browns' first game of the season, Bronk? Because I forgot to look that up.
It's the 12th. Sunday the 12th at 1 p.m.
So there's time for him in that interim period to get ready and play. If this happened, if he's a week into this and he's got 3 more weeks of it, that will take up the preseason games. And then he may be practicing for Kansas City. That is a real possibility. But if you see that he's missing preseason games, I can guarantee you he's boning up, he's learning, he's working with the other guys, and it's an MCL sprain. Just take my word for it, and don't get all freaked out if you don't see him on the field until. But I do believe that if that's what the problem is, that he will be ready for week 1. Now, how many snaps he gets, there's a lot to be asked about, because what is it, the mic position, that is the field general who is calling out everything, and is the guy who has the sticker on his helmet. He's the man. We don't have much that we're planning. Phillips is the other guy who we're going to have to look at, and he is the second on the depth chart as far as the Mike linebackers. So you're going to see a lot of Phillips, a lot. Wait, let's see what you got there, Bronk. I'm going to give you some full screen privilege here. That's Baker.
That's Baker.
He is short, isn't he?
As a Funko Pop.
He's too short to make it in the NFL. Absolutely too short.
Go Browns.
So,
Mr. Celery, is he still around?
Yes, Mr. Celery is always here because he will. This guy,
Yes. Woo-hoo.
the stalker, the original stalker, and his catchphrase, "Woohoo!"
Woo-hoo.
Okay, and he's got little arms.
They're very flexible.
Yeah, I got a menagerie here. It's not glass, but it's a menagerie.
You still have the Moohead barf bag, or did you retire that finally?
Well, there hasn't been any reason to use it for a while, and I really hope that the barf bag never shows up on the program again. But if it does,
talking about the Cleveland baseball team.
No, I mean that I would be investing way too much energy in something that doesn't deserve it. So, so that's my belief about Anthony Walker. As far as the Browns are concerned, a lot being said about Donovan Peoples-Jones. This is clearly he's the darling of the early, practices. I want to remind you that, when you're blazing down the field by a guy who's third on the depth chart, let's see it during the regular season. Do I think he's improved? Yes. I don't think there's any question that he's an improved player. And I think that he does have athletic skills. I mean, when I saw him get his feet in bounds on that winning catch against the Bengals, I mean, my goodness, that takes some real coordination to do. So I believe he's got some athletic goods. I don't think he's a huge burner at 4.48, but I do believe that he has enough length, and he seems to be able to contort his body, and he comes back for the ball. And the quarterback is very comfortable, just like with Rashard Higgins, throwing the back shoulder pattern. So if he can drive the defensive guy down the field, that ball's on his back shoulder, separation becomes less of an issue. If somebody's going to really cover you that close and that ball's put on the back shoulder, it's going to be hard for anybody to stop. I think that DPJ, I'm not going to say he's for real, but I think he's an improved player, and he's definitely going to be, one of the players out there, in the regular rotation amongst the wide receivers. I think Anthony Schwartz is going to be instantly in trouble, and Demetric Felton, I think that there's so much going on with, Demetric is not going to make the team as a kick returner because there are two guys being tried out for that right now, and Natson's one of them, and I think Dearness Johnson is just one too many running backs, and that's really where it's going to come down to, either he or Demetric Felton. But they're not going to get many reps. They're going to be kind of like, what we've had with the guys who, if he makes the team, Demetric Felton will become Dearness Johnson. All right? That's what it boils down to. And if he's playing, there's problems health-wise with the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, if Felton and Johnson both make the team, then one of the tight ends has got to go, because you can't have like 4 running backs and 4 tight ends.
Well, it was interesting. They were talking about wide receivers. How many wide receivers did the Browns carry on their roster last year? Quickly, Brian, quickly, how many?
I think it was 6.
Bronk, what do you think?
5.
And the answer is 6. They
Wow.
carried 6 wide receivers, and they needed every single one of them. God only knows. God only knows. With one going
Plus, I
down
think
after another.
plus they had an additional 3 on the injured reserve thing, or the taxi squad.
Taxi squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was always like 1 or 2 that were inactive for games. So when they boiled down to the game roster, then they all 6 weren't there. I don't think.
The thing that I like is we are going to have some guys who can strike from far away, and guys who are like golden in the red zone. And you really want to have guys like Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who prove they have the ability to hands to catch the ball, and Jarvis Landry, who can, these are people who you can put on the field with confidence in that kind of a goal line situation. I don't know that, OBJ is a field stretcher, but he doesn't have the physicality necessarily to really get inside somebody and in a very narrow window be able to use his body to wedge out a defender and come up with the ball in what amounts to a tug of war. But it's important to have that, and I think that's again where your tight ends come in handy. Is there's not a lot of separation on pass patterns in the red zone, and when you have the running game that the Browns have, I really do believe that they're gonna have some good personnel in the red zone. So that's why I'm looking forward to touchdowns instead of field goals. And if you're not hearing the news out of Berea, our wonderful place kicker came out and missing everything he was kicking. Right, exactly. And I put his name out of my mind. I can remember Phil Dawson.
If he blows up during a playoff game, he'll get more death threats.
What's his name again?
Cody.
Cody Parkey. My God.
Cody.
Yeah. He came out and missed. I think he was 1 for 5 to start out. And it's like
that's a way to make a good impression on the year, isn't it?
Yeah, and so they have another guy in camp, and I don't know anything about him either. But if you didn't see yesterday's Hall of Fame game,
I did.
You didn't miss anything.
It was a horrific game. I just saw that. I couldn't sleep because of my back problem, so I was watching it from like 1 until 2:30 in the morning, and that was the first half. And I got so annoyed with having to listen to Jack Buck and Troy Aikman stroke off every single person that is going into the Hall of Fame. Now, does anybody really care about Hall of Fames anyway, other than the players? And I don't give a shit. I've been to the Hall of Fame a couple times only because it was in Canton. But
if you are in Cleveland and you really want to talk Major League, then go see the movie. Don't see the product. Thanks, Rick. As your Major League.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah.
That was a horrific game too. But the BCOD nearly got Claypool. He had him out on like the 4th series that the Steelers were running. I mean, why was he even in the game for that long? He's their best player.
Yeah, and Chase Claypool came up after a big catch. He came up a little lame.
Well, I think he fell on the football or something. He's a big puss, but
Possible.
He's their best player.
Yeah, and San Juan Creole saying, we need to win the first. If we win the first game of the season, my goodness, there are going to be a lot of people
talking. If we win
talking.
the first game of the season, then we got to make sure we come back for the second game of the season and win that, and not have some winning hangover like Browns teams used to have when they pull off shock wins off of people and then fucking stink the pooch out the next week.
But the thing I liked about last year is we dug a hole, but we got out of the
We
hole,
got out of it.
and
And
that was
we were trending in
different.
the right direction, where the Steelers went 11-0, and everyone, me, you, Brian, everyone said they were the worst 11-0 team out there in the world. Well, they turned out they were. They lost 5 out of their next 6 games.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
and it was ugly. And it was like watching these guys age overnight.
yeah.
It was the portrait of Dorian Gray played out on a
I
football
mean, you
field.
can't really say much about the Steelers or the Cowboys in that game last night, but you can definitely say the Cowboys are going to blow massive chunks this year. They look absolutely horrific. And
You
I can't
know,
see
I
Dak
don't,
Prescott doing anything.
you know, and Rick is bringing up another story that I had read about James Washington, the wide receiver, the less and less used James Washington, the James Washington that Ben Roethlisberger told the Steelers organization needed to be on the field more. Does that sound like Rashard Higgins?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and his productivity has gone less and less, and he was only targeted twice in yesterday's game. Honestly, the game was horrific. It
it was a
really
terrible
was.
game.
But it's way too early. It's way too early to be playing anything that resembles a football game, a loose scrimmage, perhaps. But, you know, I think Pittsburgh fans have a lot to look forward to because that Dwayne Haskins, boy, at 4.2 yards per completion. I mean, do you think somebody put a little bug in his ear and said, "Don't turn it over.
Don't turn it over.
Don't throw a pick. Don't do it. Don't."
God, he looked like the second coming of Seneca Wallace out there.
Yeah, I should do Sling Blade. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's gonna throw one of them interceptions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I love them peanuts. Mm-hmm. I stick them up my nose with mustard on them. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
The bottom line is that we've got to win. We got to go 5-1 in the division this year if we want a decent playoff seed. It gives us a chance to go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the game. I read about the game, but when a quarterback is 8 of 13 and averages 4.2 yards per carry or per carry, listen,
I mean, he
per
got like
pass,
40 yards the whole game. The passing, it was
terrible. And then their star Mason Rudolph came
Just
in.
terrible, Ernie.
Yeah,
terrible.
This guy at least was throwing the ball down the field. The problem with Mason Rudolph, he throws a good bomb, but he drops the N bombs too. So you can go ahead and have him if you'd like him.
Well, I'll tell you, the bravest person last night was Erin Andrews interviewing Ben Roethlisberger on the sidelines. She was probably worried that he was going to pull her hair and drag her behind the bench, But
he's going to pull a Joe Namath.
Luckily,
on Culver.
Yeah. Luckily, there's no porta-johns on the sidelines.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and again, Steeler Nation has to understand that Ben has to stay healthy.
Yeah.
If he does not stay healthy, you're going to lose a lot of football games because these quarterbacks are not capable.
I mean, he could be the second coming of Trent Richardson. He could be that good, Najee Harris.
Well, and again, zero excuses for not making the playoffs. Well, we don't know that. I mean, if Case Keenum has to lead us there, I'd say there might be some serious problems.
I mean, this could all go horribly wrong. I'm trying not to get caught up in the hype like I did 2 years ago. And then, we look like tits, I'm trying to stay level-headed on all this.
There's always excuses if your players aren't healthy. That's always the case. You got to beat the Ravens. I'm with you on that. And you got to find a way to pierce that defense and force them to keep up with you. You got to wear them down. You got to wear them down with the running game. And you've got to be able to get Lamar Jackson off the field. And that's not easy. A lot of teams have that kind of trouble. But, watch the footage of the Chiefs. playing the Ravens, and see if you can glean something from that.
Well, they're breaking in a new offensive line. I mean, they went out and revamped their entire line, the Chiefs, and they've been on the NFL. If you turn on the NFL Network, it's like they're live at the Chiefs practice field every single time I turn on the damn thing. It's like they're doing this with them. So I don't know. They could have
Rick
issues.
is doing my stories before I do them. 3 Giants retired this week.
4.
Is it up to 4 now?
Yeah. One just retired yesterday. One of their offensive linemen. So
and it's Judge the
and
here come the Judge.
Garrett's worried about people calling him coach instead of Jason.
Well, I mean, in the Giants, Judge is the head coach, and he is running a really hard ass camp.
Oh, that'll go down really well.
And I do, believe it or not, talk to people, and the one thing they say about it's like, it's not just based on just reading this and reading that, but I mean,
wow,
this guy is one of those disciplinarian guys. And now I'll say this, a disciplinarian guy, you can get a good season out of that kind of coach, but he's not going to keep the players for very long. And what he's doing is any mistake that he picks out the players making, he's making them do wind sprints.
Oh yeah, the old wind sprint up and
the
down
old
the
wind
sideline.
sprint thing, and humiliate them in front of all the teammates. Well, it's all these veterans were saying bye-bye. It's like, I'm going to die when I'm 57. I don't need this shit on top of it,
Correct.
And they're not going to win with Daniel Boone at quarterback. They're not going to win. It's not like they're going to turn this puppy around overnight. And, we've seen it in Cleveland, whether it was Forrest Gregg or Eric Mangini. Always the finger pointers, never my fault. It's your fault. Go out there and do the wind sprints. That's what's happening with the Giants. And it's true. The NFC East continues to be crazy. I mean, you've got Dak Prescott, who's not playing. The Washington football team, God only knows what the next headline will be out of there. And the only thing that Philly fans could be happy about is that they actually got rid of Carson Wentz, because the story about Carson Wentz is peculiar too. His injury, which was a non-contact injury, was a bone that basically broke down in his foot. And what they were claiming is it was a high school injury.
Wow.
Now, how does something like this not get known, that he had damage to a bone in his foot that was never repaired when he was in high school, and he's been playing with it since college and the professional, one more thing that's just going to wipe that guy's body out. And, and it's probably compensatory because of what happened to his knee. But he's gone 5 to 12 weeks. Right then there, it's over.
The problem we have with the NFC East is because the division in the AFC that plays against them is the AFC East this year. So Buffalo and New England and
Miami,
the Dolphins all get the feast on the fucking Eagles and the Washington football team. So
then the Jets may even get a couple of wins out of that.
Yeah. So they're going to have 3 teams in the fucking playoffs. So that's why we have to win the division and have to go 5-1.
Well, the Colts, without Carson Wentz, the Colts don't have much in the way of quarterback.
They got people hurt left, right, and center. They got some other guy with the same injury as Wentz has.
Yeah, and again, that team is a team that was in the thick of things for the playoffs, and they're going to fade real quick, real quick. And but 5 to 12 weeks, and they were hoping that under the stewardship of the offensive people who had brought Carson Wentz into the league and gotten him going early in Philadelphia. Now the season's gone. He's not going to be ready to do anything that is of any great consequence, and that probably the fate of the team will be sealed long before he's able to hit the field. That's what happens when your quarterback goes down. As far as San Juan Creole is concerned, we all get excited. I want to see Clowney play against full speed in game and do it on the field, because he hasn't been the last several years.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
he's been a guy who has been a run stopper, but he has not been a prolific pass rusher. And we need help, because we don't have an interior lineman who can really waylay people and get to the quarterback. So we need everything from our edge rushers that we can possibly get. It's going to be a challenge. Just so that you know, Phillip Rivers, actually the retired one, said that he would consider coming back to the NFL. So I don't know.
Maybe he needs the money, eh?
But I don't
Well,
think...
he's got fucking 47 kids. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I just
He's got
don't
his own
think that
commune.
I don't think he'd want to go back to Indianapolis. I don't think he has unfinished business there. I think the team wanted to move on. And I think that if anything, he would go someplace, maybe in a situation where he can keep himself in physical condition.
The Dolphins.
A team that maybe is a good team that has an injury to a quarterback and he could step in. One thing we can say about Phillip Rivers, he has very quick release. He doesn't hold on to the ball very long. And I don't think he's going to tear you to shreds unless you were the Browns secondary last year. But I do think that he is somebody who's steady. He's a steady hand. So, he could be a guy who could come in even at his advanced age. What is he now, 38, 39? I mean,
He's
I
the
don't know.
same age as Big Ben, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
But he might be back. You just never know. Around the league, Josh Allen, the word is 6 years, $258 million. Now, number resonated with me. And as I say it, little vibes are going out to Baker Mayfield, and his dick is getting hard. I mean, $258 million, $150 million guaranteed. I think it's safe to say Josh Allen hit the jackpot. But here's the interesting thing. The Buffalo Bills, of all the football teams in the NFL, have the lowest franchise value.
Well, that's because it's fucking Buffalo.
$2.2 billion is what the team has been estimated at as far as its worth is concerned. $2.2 billion, and they're shelling out $258 million for one guy.
One guy.
So just put that in your pipe and smoke it. I really don't know what it means, except it's a great day to be a quarterback. And the guy who jumps first, then the others will fall in line. The Browns have to make the offer to Baker, and he's going to be a very, very wealthy man. But it can all change in literally a heartbeat in the NFL. But I mean, Josh Allen, the guy was a number 7 pick in 2018, and the word was he had this great arm, but didn't know where the ball was going. He was going to be the next Anderson that the guy the Browns had, Derek Anderson. He was going to be the new Derek Anderson.
Is he still alive?
He's somewhere. I don't know. What I do know is that Allen started out in his rookie year, and that's what it looked like. But all of a sudden, man, whether they worked with his mechanics or whatever, that guy really can fire the ball all over the field. The thing that scares the hell out of me with a quarterback like that is the ball gets to its target so quickly that you really can't, you can't bite if you're a defensive back, because he can hang it on a rope, 50, 60 yards in the air, man. I mean, he's not going to give you any time to catch up. And if you can't play up tight on somebody, and if he's able to find the back shoulder consistently, they're just going to keep converting first down after first down, because the time, I would really like to see a statistic of the time it takes for the ball to get to his wide receivers compared to somebody like, Baker or anybody else who's, or Lamar Jackson. I mean, it explodes out of his hand. And if he's going to be accurate too, that's really something. But $258 million. Oh, God. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, but, he's the reason that they win.
Yeah, and
more than any other, more than Baker Mayfield, more than probably, I would say even more than Lamar Jackson. He's the reason that the Bills are a consistent winner.
And Lamar Jackson's been activated off the COVID list, as has Kirk Cousins. And, Brian and I were talking about this before the program.
The calf, anyway. Don't tell me he's got a job.
Who knows? People have lives. He's a working man. He's got a career. Now he's got to find himself a woman. While the Ravens have activated Lamar Jackson and the Vikings, Kirk Cousins made a very, very public statement that, he would live behind plexiglass in a plexiglass booth, but he'll never get a vaccine.
Oh, wow.
And again, you can see, and realistically, and this is the problem with the world, is that I don't see him as either a hero or a goat. He's just making a decision what he wants to do.
He's pro-choice as far as vaccines go.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem, and I will let his teammates. And I said this to Brian before the show. I'll let his teammates call the shot, because if he's responsible and he doesn't hang out in large crowds of people, because you can get it again and again and again.
Then he won't get sick.
Yeah, and if players all get sick because he didn't do his part, then I'll let the team make the judgment. I don't need to make a judgment on somebody.
Yeah, the trouble is we play them in October, so we don't want to get any of our players sick if they happen to get sick.
Yeah,
so that would be a problem.
But I think this notion and what Brian said basically,
about one way or the other. You can do whatever the fuck he wants.
To paraphrase Brian, that there are all these people propping up Kaepernick, and because of that, then now there are people who are pimping Cousins, and because of his position and his stance on this. I just want to clarify that the thing that I disagreed with as far as Kaepernick was, I didn't think it was an effective way of protesting. Okay? I didn't think that it would accomplish anything. And it didn't. All right? It came and went. The kneeling thing came and went, and nothing really came of it as a direct result. That was my first criticism. But the biggest problem I had with it is that I thought we lived in a free country where we were allowed to express ourselves, and that's why I'm not getting down on Kirk Cousins. He's entitled to his opinion, man. This is a free country. But when you prevent a Colin Kaepernick from ever playing professional football again and you blackball him, that's living in a totalitarian state. So that is the question that I have, is why would somebody be punished and have their job taken away just because they believe something? And I want to say a third thing is, other things that come out of Colin Kaepernick's mouth, I totally disagree with. So, this, I don't base people as being martyrs for a cause. I don't see it that way. I say people make a decision, and in the end, we'll see if his decision is right for his team, organization and himself. We'll see. He's a career 26-23 quarterback.
Well, be prepared for an all-out patriotic blitz on the first week of the season because it coincides with the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So the flags and the jet planes flying over and all that razzmatazz will be heavy in the air.
I want to finish the program with the rich getting richer. This is the nature of professional sports, folks. I mean, 1 minute a hero, 1 minute a goat, 1 minute a goat, 1 minute a hero. How much money do you earn? It all depends where you're at and what you've done for somebody lately. I'll give you an example. All right. Reggie Jackson, not the guy of the candy bar, but Reggie Jackson, the NBA basketball player, has re-signed with the LA Clippers. They revived his failing career, and he's ended up with a 2-year, $22 million deal with the Clippers. All right.
I've barely heard of the guy. I've heard of the baseball player.
Yeah, well, he's a point guard, and he can put up points in bunches, and he was a pretty prolific NBA scorer, but he fell upon hard times. And this is the most the Clippers could pay Jackson under CBA rules. Last year, he averaged 10.7 points and shot 43% from three-point range during the regular season. He's a 10-year veteran, and during the playoffs was really important because Kawhi Leonard was out for the final 8 playoff games with that partially torn ACL. And it was Reggie Jackson who paired with Paul George, scoring almost 18 points a game and shooting 41% from 3 in the postseason. So here's a guy whose career was literally in the dumpster. And now, $22 million isn't huge money compared maybe to what other people make in the NBA, but that's a lot of fucking money, folks. That's a lot of fucking money. So, good news for Reggie Jackson, all right? And then you have a guy like Kevin Durant. He's planning a 4-year, $198 million extension with the Brooklyn Nets. They haven't won anything, okay? And I thought it was really interesting when I saw LeBron doing shout out and he was talking about his former teammates and didn't mention Kyrie Irving. I don't know that the Nets, what will happen as far as whether they can all be healthy at one time or whether Kyrie is going to decide he wants to play or not want to play, if he falls off the edge of the earth or whatever is going to happen with them. But 198, it's almost $200 million extension for Kevin Durant. So, and there's a guy who's been around forever, okay? And to put it in perspective, he's going to decline his 2022-23 player option and extend from his base salary the 2021-22 season, which is $42 million. That's what he's going to be paid in the last year of his last deal. And then the next deal comes in, will be $198 million for 4 years. That's just insane. And he only played 35 regular season games due to a combination of COVID absences and a hamstring injury. And the guy recently has had foot and leg calf injuries.
He has no legs to do.
He's Pelican legs, absolutely. Yeah. And, great player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing his skill level. But, again, the rich get richer. And then it goes the other way. All right? Okay. 2 seasons after leaving, veteran Andre Iguodala has agreed to return to the Golden State Warriors, who have no chance to win anything, his agent, Brandon Rosenthal, said. 37 years old now, he spent 6 years with the Warriors, including winning 3 NBA championships. However, he spent the last 2 years in Bolivian as a member of the Miami Heat, who last week declined the $15 million team option for him next season and said, "Good riddance to bad rubbish." Iguodala averaged 4.4 points in 23 minutes over 63 games last year.
That's horrific.
Yeah, he did absolutely nothing. And the bottom line is that, he's coming back to play for a team who is past it, The Warriors weren't the next Boston Celtics.
No, they had been
So,
3 years
you
and
got
4
the
years.
guys who are, making $198 million. And, then you have guys who are just hanging on by their fingernails. That's the nature of getting paid in professional sports. And if you want to know the definition of delusional, quarterback Gardner Minshew is not willing to surrender starting job with Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we're going to see him. Everybody's already seen him. The team's seen enough of him. And I'm sure that he is going to beat out Trevor Lawrence for the job. And only...
Well, he'll be the starting quarterback, but it's going to be the Colts instead of the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean, Gardner Minshew, they were hyping him, and God, he was more erratic than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Up and down like a Duncan yo-yo, But he's not going to give up that position,
Oh, you might as well get that duck guy from Pittsburgh, Like the same mental image in my head is Duck, Quack, Quack, and Minshew.
I think Gardner needs to assume the position.
Wow.
I'm done. It's 2 minutes after 7. I want to eat my dinner. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this
like
edition.
the Black Cow of Death, just to wait.
You're going to show the BCOD. Ben Roethlisberger, buddy. Ben Roethlisberger.
How many years have we been doing this? Every year we curse Ben Roethlisberger. He's still around. He's still alive.
But that was right. Before, he wiped out the white cow of hope. But now, look, this is what he has to deal with.
Oh, no.
There's a big size difference. He's fighting above his weight class now.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow guy there. That's serious shit, man.
That's serious shit. You don't fuck with somebody. You punch him and your fist just sinks right into him. He stays puffed. Yeah. Believe me, he does. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate, the 18 years. We're going on 18 years now with the Browns post game and halftime shows. And that'll be starting up, like I said, on Saturday. Be watching the game on the NFL Network at 7 p.m. And come on over to mooheadradio.com, which doesn't exist anymore. It's funny.
What happened to moohead.com anyway? I haven't been there for a while.
And I just abandoned it. And the reason was because I wasn't going to keep up with, content of keeping up a website. And with the ability to just archive programs, bingo, like that on YouTube, that's all anybody wanted to hear from me. I'm not a journalist, for God's sakes. I'm a guy doing a podcast. So, you can follow everything on YouTube, and you can go and look at the archives of every show that I've done for God knows how long. If you're really at all interested, I will think you're a stalker if you do that, but you're...
Oh, some of them are hilarious, though. We had like Ziffles and DG and Tony DeCaff in their prime. Now Tony DeCaff has tremendous skills,
I have a lot of audio stuff from older before then, way
got
back.
Saved? I got saved you as Jim fucking Brown, singing The Girl from Ipanema.
The Girl from Ipanema. I still have that on my computer, yeah. I'll never play that again. No.
Yeah,
that was really offensive. It really was.
You'll never be able to play that again either, That's sort of like blackmail material now.
Actually, The original title was That Bitch from Ipanema, and but no, we're not going there.
We're never going to talk about it ever again.
It was fun for its day, but times change, folks.
Times have changed.
But join me, and it's going to be around 8:30 on Saturday. We do the halftime show, 12 minutes. All right, so it's 12-minute halftime show, and after the game, usually somewhere around a 40-minute post-game show, and it won't take too much of your time. And if you can't get to it after the game because you're either drunk and angry or drunk and happy, you can always
just 3 in the morning where you are.
yeah, right. You just watch the archive, man, and enjoy the festivities just like you were watching right after the game.
So you're doing post games for the preseason, huh?
Say what?
You're doing post games for the preseason.
Yeah, I am.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
messed up.
this is the year of hope, man. I mean, this is an important year for the Browns franchise, and I really hope that they are able to do well. I really mean that as
Well,
a
I think
fan.
it's the year, like the second year after the Cats, when Kyrie and Kevin Love got injured, and we came back that next year, and that was the year that we won. So let's hope that this is the
If you
Browns'
got the
year.
horses, there's the chance that you can win, and I just hope our horses stay healthy. I got to run. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you.
Enjoy the replay, Key.
I'll see you on Friday. Thanks a lot for tuning in until Monday. I'm sorry.
Monday.
Until next time,
When you're
I'll
in
be in
pain,
the
that's
Alzheimer's
the
unit.
same, man.
Hasta la vista, Pastorettes. Good night.
See you.